Good evening to everyone. So it's so lovely to have you connected with us. Thanks to Zoom. And there is the Zoom, but I would say we have the soul connection apart from that Zoom that brings us together, especially at this time. So although we would say that we have been locked in, we have been just inside, but the beauty of this Zoom and the soul connection is our audience has become unlimited. It has become global. Our brothers and sisters who are with us and really sharing their time is such a wonderful experience. So with tonight's topic, in line with this, being able now to see what we can do at this time, discovering world of unlimited possibilities. So I would say that this is a very appropriate time where we can devote this to what else can we do apart from this time that we are in this uncertainty, and afterwards another uncertainty. So tonight it would be a wonderful experience, I would suppose, in the presence of our brother Prakash Chugani. I think many of you, especially those who are in Bahrain, would be very familiar to him. So he's always here with us, and actually before the lockdown happened, he was with us. And I've been with us for some time before he was able to take his flight. So it's again wonderful to have him at this time. So just to give you an idea of our brother, Prakash Chugani. Prakash Chugani is a self-development trainer, executive coach, and he has a wonderful philosophy in life that is, everyone he is, including he is a lifelong student, and thus every moment of his journey offers lessons and wisdom to learn. As a meditation practitioner and teacher for over 15 years, he blends this skill with his excellent academic performance as a self-development trainer. He earned this with his hard work, with his diligence, and his determination. And now we are so lucky to be recipient of this wonderful gift that he has, which he will willingly share to each and everyone. So his technique of putting the two together, his excellent academic skill in line with this, and his meditation technique would give a very inspiring way to be able now to deal with this journey of life. So currently, Prakash is the director of Acube Training and Consulting. Most of all, I think I would say a part of this introduction is, I would say, as a person, as a friend, I would say that knowing him, being with him is a blessing. So it is such a blessing to have him with us tonight. So let us all welcome, without much ado, Prakash Chugani to lead us to discovering the world of unlimited possibilities. Welcome everyone, and welcome Brother Prakash.
Thank you so much, Sister Vicky. That was a very warm introduction and an elaborate one indeed. I like the part of the lifelong student. And I love being a lifelong student for many reasons. And in fact, the reason I became a trainer and a facilitator and a coach was because I knew that if I have to train, I have to learn twice. And also it's brilliant because if I'm a student, I'm okay to make mistakes. And when I make mistakes, I always have this very interesting attitude that, okay, I can make mistakes. I'm work in progress. I'm still a student. I'm learning. And so I'm not perfect. And so I can constantly keep making mistakes, but learning from it and moving forward, what I call failing forward. And so I like that note of being a lifelong student. So thank you for reminding me about that once again. I think that's the most important thing. Lots of things I have developed and had reasons for what I was doing, but it's easy for that to just slip away. But that's a good way to remind me with that introduction. So thank you so much for that. And it's always a pleasure to connect with uh, this lovely, beautiful audience from the Gulf and the other regions of the world. And it's nice. It's great. It makes me feel a part of the global family, and that's brilliant. And it's so nice to do that. So we've got this brilliant topic, discovering the world of unlimited possibilities. And as we go ahead and start, I'd like to do one small thing, and that is to start with an appreciation first. Because when we start appreciating, we are happy. And I think there's no better beauty or bigger beauty than happiness. We can be as beautiful as we think we are, but that probably expands multifold the moment we bear a smile on our face. And it's not a smile that's just an artificial smile that just showing on the face, but the happiness should come from inside. And that happens when we start with appreciation of the self. So first, let me appreciate you for being here today. You would have had so many things to do, choices unlimited, yet you chose to be here this evening, this afternoon, this morning, from wherever you may be. So thank you for that. And that's an appreciation of a choice that you made to be here. And that's brilliant that you have done. I like you to think about one thing you want to appreciate yourself for, that you've done through the day. If not today, then yesterday at least, something that you have thought about. It could be a thought that came to you. You like to appreciate yourself for a thought. It could be for certain words that you have uttered with your children, with your spouse, with your neighbors, or with say friends, something you said or something that you've done. Anything that you think you want yourself to be appreciated for. Let's take a moment before we start in silence, when we just reflect and appreciate ourselves really warmly for anything that we did that we should really be thinking about in a very positive way. Okay, beautiful. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So it feels so nice when there's something that I'm able to pick up for myself to appreciate my own self for. Many times that's quite a rare thing. We always are so far-sighted. We're able to look outside, forgetting this person who's actually deserving so much, looking into the mirror and congratulating this person in that mirror for being able to stand up whilst there's so much happening around. There's so much of pressure. There's so much in this particular environment today, but still I'm able to stand strong. And that deserves a huge amount of appreciation for the self. So well done to all of you. And let's take this forward. When we look at appreciation and we look at unlimited possibilities of the world, there are a few things that comes to my mind when I think of unlimited possibilities. Firstly, I like to talk about this brilliant seed, the acorn, a tiny little nut, which has the potential of this mighty oak that is just next to it. And it's so nice to think about the possibilities, which is so unlimited in that little, small, tiny acorn. And when it is sown, and with the right amount of nurturing, it turns up to be this huge, mighty acorn, which then generates, a mighty oak, which then generates huge amount of acorns, and therefore so many other giant oak trees. To me, that's possibilities which are truly unlimited, and it's unbelievable to a large extent when you look at a little nut like this that can actually have such amazing, immense potential. So there's so much in nature that we have around us that makes us stop, look, and wonder at the possibilities that lie outside over there. So next time when somebody calls me a nutcase, I say, wow, I remind myself of this beautiful little acorn. And if that's what you meant, then I take that as a compliment. And thank you for it. So that's one part of the possibilities that we see, which is huge, amazing, and unlimited in this world. There's another part that I like to speak about from nature, and this is the northern sky. We see that in Alaska. It might look like the most artificial thing. Well, there's a lot of artificial things in the world today, and so much so that even when something is real, we look at it with doubt and think, hey, is that true? Do you really have a sky like that? Well, those are the northern lights, and it's an absolutely true sky that you see. And this is how it is usually when you actually go there semi close to the midnights and have a look at the sky there. To me, this is amazing possibility that is unthinkable, but truly it's true, it's there, it's very much amongst us. So another beautiful thing that we need to appreciate and be glad that we are amongst. One more thing that we are able to see, which is a great testimony of unlimited possibilities into this world, is science and technology. We have seen in the last probably 40 years or even 30 years the amazing amount of progress that we have actually done in the field of science and technology, whether it's to do with AI, it's robotics, it's to do with the Internet of Things, or it's to do with medicine and so many other beautiful things that's around us. We just have to sit back, watch in awe of the unlimited potential and possibilities that we can actually see in this world. And there's nothing in terms of stopping us. It's still going and expanding and becoming bigger and better as we go forth. And so that's a great amount of possibilities that we see in this world. But there's one thing that we need to really not forget whilst we are in the awe of these beautiful things. And what is that one thing that we need to be cognizant of? Well, there are always, everything in the world is created twice, it is said. First is the mental creation. It's created in the mind. And then there's a physical creation. So when we're looking at this world with awe, and we're so glad to see everything that's happening around us, let's remember who is the one who's watching and observing, who's able to look at it, those possibilities, and where does it really start? Where does this massive amount of technology, the science that we talk about, the medical progress that we're seeing, what do we attribute that all to? Well, it's the self. It's each and every one of us. It's the being who's able to project these possibilities in the world. And so if I'm able to bring those unlimited possibilities, can you imagine the unlimited possibilities that lie within each of us? I was recently listening to Tony Buzan. Tony Buzan is this guru of thinking creatively. He's a mind maps guru as well. And he was asking this question to the audience. Can you guess what percentage of our brain is actually used to take care of our memory and creativity? What percentage of the brain is used for memory and creativity on a regular basis? And so many of them thought 5%, some said 10%, some went to 20 and 30%, the very optimistic ones. And he brought out a lot of research that was done with the brain. And he said, we are actually using only 1% of our brain for creativity and for our memory. And the next question was, is that good news or is that bad news? Well, for the past, it could be bad news. But for us, as we look at it right now, it's good news because we've just used 1% of this magnificent brain that is there within us. There's 99% yet there that is open for us to explore and to become. And so that's good news for us in a way. And so what we're trying to look at is the magnificence that lies within us, that is able to create those possibilities outside of us, or that is able to even admire the greatness outside. Because they say that the size of the sky is equal to the size of the window. And so if I am shutting myself off, I'm not able to appreciate the beauty outside. And if I'm able to see the beauty outside, if I'm able to appreciate the greatness and the unlimited possibilities in the world outside of me, it means that there is an unlimited beauty and potential and possibility within my own self. And so let's look at that brilliance that is there within us. And what does that really mean? Here's this picture. Some of you have already guessed. Wilma Rudolph. Now, this to me is a testimony of unlimited possibilities. Well, she was one amongst 22 other siblings. And at a very young age, she had a lot of problems. And so because of which her right leg was not functioning well, and she had to have braces on her right leg. And so it was defective. When she went to the doctor told her, Wilma, very sorry, bad news, but you're not going to be able to walk for the rest of your life. And lucky for her, her mother said, Wilma, don't worry, you will be running very soon. And Wilma decided to believe her mother rather than the doctor. It was not just the doctor, but she was very keen to play basketball and to run in school. But because of her braces, it was very difficult. And she remembers the time when she attempted first to run. The teachers told her, Wilma, stop running. Don't trouble yourself. You're not meant to run. You're not even meant to walk. She didn't take that from them. She tried as much as she could to get her right leg to start working properly. She had people at home who would come and massage her almost every day to see how it could set itself right. And very soon, she was able to not just walk, but she was able to run, play basketball, and do everything that she ever wanted to do. In 1960, she was the first American woman to ever win, or first woman in the world to actually win 3 gold medals. And that was a wonderful pride for her, her family, and her nation. More than anything else, I think that was a beautiful opening for the entire world to see that despite what we might have at a physical level, if I internally could actually make my mind up for something unlimited, it's possible. And so she was a testimony for that. And it was amazing to see how she went forward doing that. And her only thing was, each and every one of us have got unlimited potential, and it's important for us to believe in ourselves so that we can expand and grow into that beauty that we all are. So that's the first beauty, I believe, is that beauty of a human being. Despite all adversities outside, there is this unlimited possibility of us, despite all of that, to be able to dream and to achieve our dreams. That's the first unlimited possibility that I like to speak about, which is very close to each and every one of us. The next one. Here is this interesting workshop, or it's a shed of a very eminent scientist who was 67 years old. And this happened somewhere in the year 1912. It was December the 9th. This was Edison's workshop. After 67 years of working so hard, unfortunately, Thomas Edison had all of his work that he had done in shambles because of this fire that actually hit the neighborhood, and then soon it hit his shed. And his son Charles was so worried for his father. His son Charles runs up to his dad and says, Dad, you know what's happening? Have a look. He brings his dad out and says, look, our whole shed is on fire and your 67 years of work is in the drains. And he was so worried for his dad. But his dad had a very different attitude. And this is what his dad told Charles the moment he showed him that his shed was on fire. He said, Charles, where's your mother? Go get her and tell her to get her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again. And that was amazing, that at a 67-year-old person who is able to see everything that he's done in terms of his lifetime's work going up in flames, not perturbed at all, but to be able to look at it with a perspective that really makes us wonder at that possibility that lies there. And the next day, he was actually interviewed by journalists. And they were asking him about, isn't he sad? Isn't he worried? Isn't he disappointed that whatever he has done all these years is up in flames? And this is what he said: there's value in disaster. All our mistakes are burnt up. Thank God we can start anew. And this is another unlimited possibility that we are able to have in ourselves. And it testifies what we just said before as well. One is that we can give meaning to whatever is happening outside of us. And that meaning that we give to the world outside is very important, because then that determines the state of my mind. So whilst there can be chaos outside, we have this unlimited possibility of having calm inside. There could be a huge amount of storms there, but there can be calmness and stillness inside. There can be a lot of scenes outside of pain and sorrow, but the beauty of each and every one of us is that we can choose how we like to feel inside of us. And so there's always this thing about SPR. There's a stimulus and there's a response. Now that response will not be a response if we do not pause in between. And so there's a stimulus, there's a pause, and there's a response. And if I use the pause properly, I can respond in a very, very appropriate way. And otherwise, I'm just reacting to life, to everything that's happening around me. And what happens in that case is I'm not utilizing this unlimited possibility that is bestowed upon me by my Creator, where I could choose what I'd like to feel. And so this was an example of that brilliance that each of us have. And the other one, something that actually supports us as we go forward in this line. When you look at this picture and you look at the waters, what comes to your mind? What does this remind you of? And what does this make you feel? A single word is stillness. This is another amazing possibility that each and every one of us have. And thankfully for it, because when we are able to make our minds still, we're able to see everything clearly. We're able to find all our answers. It's in stillness that they say the soul is speaking to you. And it's in stillness that you can actually listen to your own self. We've got enough opportunities to listen to everything around us, to listen to the world. And we are doing that to a large extent. But when there is unlimited possibilities inside of us, it's important for me to sit back, make my mind still, and to listen to the beauty that is there within me. And so that's a very important part of a human being. I remember the story of Emperor Hirohito. He was the emperor of Japan, and he did a stately visit to Bangkok. And he went to one of the monasteries. It was an unofficial visit, and he was there for actually 4 days. And on the third day, he actually went to this monastery. And he had a 10-minute appointment there. But the monks were not told about him coming, so they were not available. He went there with his people. It was bare, empty. Nobody was there to welcome him. But still, Emperor Hirohito went into this huge space that was available at the entrance of the monastery. And as he went into that huge, big space, he just stood there and he indicated to his aides to just stay quiet. And they were there for exactly 10 minutes. And after that, he just indicated to his aides that it was time for them to leave. And they were leaving. And as they were going out, he called the person who was arranging all his tour for Thailand. And he said, you know what? This was the best time that I've had in my so-called 3 days in Thailand. Can you fix the same appointment for me tomorrow as well? It's amazing to see how we are so fond of silence. And there's such beauty in that silence and the stillness. And somehow we don't give ourselves enough opportunity to bask in that unlimited possibility. Think about the greatest scientists. Think about your greatest ideas. When do you think you really get them? Not when you are thinking, not when you are actively saying, okay, I want an idea, I want an idea, I want an idea. Or not when you are in a frenzy of things. It's when you most least expected it, when you are actually calm inside, that all of a sudden you have that eureka moment and say, wow, what an idea. And many a times, because it comes at such times, we lose it so easily, we don't even write it down and say, wow, that's a beautiful idea. And many a times it happens at the wee hours of the morning when you're just waking up. You know, that's a time the mind is so still and you got some of the best ideas and thoughts. And so it's a good idea to keep a notepad near a place where you sleep so that when you have these brilliant things that come up to you, just make a note of it. It's amazing. I had one, I think it was this morning or yesterday, and that was an amazing feeling that I had. And it was this feeling about just being present in the moment. How often am I sitting here but thinking about what's going to happen next? What's going to happen at 8:30, 9:30 in the evening? What's going to happen tomorrow? What happened yesterday? And so, and this was a feeling I had early in the morning, and it was a sense of this person who's juggling, you know, and he's able to have such, 15 things that he's juggling with. It would be impossible for him to do that if he was not focused on what was happening right now and at that moment. And so for us, it's so important to give the opportunity of stillness in the mind, because in that stillness, there is magic. And that magic is for you to discover. And you will be amazed at the amount of beauty that you will start adding to your life when you just allow your mind to get still. And so for me, this is another unlimited possibility. And in fact, this also makes that unlimited possibilities possible. We need to have this. Now, having said this, these are the unlimited possibilities that we have with us. In the world, we're able to see a lot of things that are happening that are not very pleasant, that are not very positive. We may see places in Africa where people are starving, they are famished, they don't have a proper square meal to eat. We find today we have a lot of fear in the world because of the virus that's spreading, and we don't have any sign of what's going to happen next. And whilst all this is happening, we have huge amount of riots happening in various places, countries that are trying to threaten other countries. And so we see that there's a lot that's happening around that is not really the way it should be. And so one is to understand that within us is unlimited possibilities. But it's very important to know that that unlimited possibilities can actually be used in the wrong way as well. And so if it's going to go in the wrong way, then that's going to be detrimental to us. That's going to hurt us. And that's why we say that the mind has this wonderful possibility of making heaven into hell and hell into heaven. And so it's also said that your mind is your best friend and can also become your worst enemy. Now, so if there is unlimited possibilities within each and every one of us, we got to try and see what is the way in which I can steer it towards a space that is going to be useful to everybody. It's going to be great for all of us. And many times it's about us not understanding ourselves truly. It's not realizing that, you know what, we are here as guests for a short period of time. We're going to go very soon. And sometimes there are people, even when they're going to go off, they don't realize that, they got to change. And just to show you how our habits can be so hard to change sometimes. So there was this businessman, and he was adamant about earning money. And for him, money was everything. Nothing was more valuable to him than money. Whilst we do understand the value of money and we don't disown that. We do understand money is important, it's valuable. But to this person, that was the be all and the end all. And so he's at his deathbed, right? And he was told off by the doctors, he's got a few days to live. It could be a week, could be less, but that's what it was. And so this person was so adamant about his, aspect of money. He actually had a deal for his watch that he was wearing in those last few days. He wanted to sell it to the person who actually came to visit him and to get some money in return for that watch that he was wearing. And that's quite, it may sound very tough at times, but it's also interesting to note that there can be such deep habits ingrained in us that even in such moments, we don't realize what we should be doing and what we should not. So here is one thing that we should start doing that is going to support us with unlimited possibilities. And this was a research that was done at the University of Buffalo. This was somewhere in 2013, a research that was done. And it said that whilst there can be a lot of stress, there can be a lot of anxiety in the world, it's not the stress or it's not just the anxiety that hurts us, but it's us not doing anything at that point in time that is actually creating a lot of problems. So they went and asked people who were stressed, and they said, okay, so what's the level of your stress? They said, my level of stress is about this percentage. And they asked them the second question, are you giving, contributing, or are you doing some charity? And they got this two data back from people, and they went back and saw after 5 years, what they noticed was the people who all had stress, but they didn't have anything to give or to contribute or to help others, they found that they had very terrible lives because of the stress. It really had a toll on them. At the same time, the people who were stressed, but they were able to do something to help others, they were able to contribute something to others, they found that they were able to overcome all problems that were able to, because of the stress, their body was able to somehow have this mechanism to overcome all the issues of stress, and they were able to lead normal lives. And so what they found out was there's an importance of giving, very important, because when we start giving, there's a very different experience that we have at a physiological level, but also at a psychological level. And so this is an important aspect for us to start working towards, is giving. And let me ask you this question. How many ways can we actually give? Sometimes we believe that giving is usually at a physical level. I've got to give money, I've got to give food, and I've got to give something tangible, and that's the gifts that I need to give to people, and that's really giving. But here's another unlimited possibility. You can give in unlimited ways, You can give firstly through your thoughts. You can give positive energy to people. Excuse me. You can give, best wishes through your thoughts, through your mind. You wish somebody good luck through, not just saying I wish you all the best, but internally you don't feel that way. No, it's truly from your heart. You really are giving something to somebody, and that works like magic. So give something positive through the words, even if it's a single word of encouragement, if it's a single word of appreciation, that can really make a person's day. And I've noticed happening that when on the phone, I remember speaking to somebody, I just asked them the name, and I said, oh, you know what? I had a classmate with that same name. And that was a very interesting person that I knew in my life. And that person who was on their side of the phone said, wow, you made my day by just speaking so nicely to me. I said, well, all I did was just take the name and connect that with somebody I knew in life. So we can give through our words. We can give physically as well. We can help and support somebody. If somebody wants to move from one place to another place, I can be available to help them to do that. So at a physical level also I can. A smile that I can have on my face, or even just by being with somebody, even if I don't say or do anything, the fact that I am with somebody itself gives a lot of support. So there are unlimited ways in which we can actually give. It's just up to our creativity in terms of how can I actually be available for others. But that's an important thing for us to do. And so if I'm able to do this, I'm reversing this particular thing that is happening right now in the world, where we're actually going astray with that unlimited possibility we have. But I would also like to share a formula with you that will help you to channelize this unlimited possibility. And that formula is the ART. ART. What is the ART? Awareness, realization, and transformation. This is a brilliant formula that I'd like to share with you that's going to allow this unlimited possibility that lies in each and every one of us to be channelized so that we get the best from all of us. Otherwise, I have this unlimited possibility inside me, like this swimmer who's an Olympian. He's an Olympic swimmer, very strong, very, very mighty. Now, if he falls in a swamp of quicksand, what happens? If he's going to be in that swamp of quicksand, and if he's going to use all his strength and he's going to believe that, you know what, I'm this Olympian. And so if I'm going to use all my muscles and my strength to try and get out of this particular swamp, what's going to happen to me? Yes, I'm going to go down deeper and deeper. The more I use my strength to come out, and the more I actually use all my muscles, I'm going to go down faster. The best way for me is to just stay still and hope that somebody can come across. I just call out and I get rescued. And so you see that this person who's the Olympian, his strength is not going to be used in the right way if he was not using it as it should be used. And so is it with us as well. So let's look at the first word, awareness. The beginning of all knowledge, the beginning of all progress, the beginning of all change is awareness. Awareness of the self. Truly asking yourself this question, who am I really? So whilst we have this physical world, we have this physical body, we have a lot of material things around us, it's important to start becoming aware of the self as the being that is separate from all these physical things. To know that whilst everything around is temporary, I am this eternal being who is here to stay. That awareness that I am peaceful. Everything that I'm looking for outside lies inside. And so becoming aware is so important for us. Otherwise, if I don't have this awareness, I'm going to run for the rest of my life, chasing after things and realizing at the end that, you know what, this is not what I wanted really. I was looking for something else. And guess where it was? It was always available to me. I just didn't give myself an opportunity to stay still, to pause, and to just become aware of it. And so the first aspect of this formula is awareness. I must become aware of the fact that there is this being whilst there is this world outside, and they are two separate things. I don't have to have them both fixed. And so when I have this awareness, it was Mark Twain who said, there are two very important days in your life. One was the day you were born, and two was the day you realize why you were born. And so it comes from this awareness. Once I become aware of who I am, and I start noticing that there is one person who's separate from the physical things around, who's this eternal being, who is the being of peace, of love, of happiness, who's a pure being. And when I'm aware of that idea, then when I sit in silence, when I'm still, I'm able to go deep into that experience and I'm able to have a realization. And in that realization, it's not just a theoretical anymore, and that's very important. To change this theoretical knowledge and the awareness of the fact that, okay, I am separate from the materialist things around me. So there is a spiritual being, there is material. So there are two different things. That's awareness. But you need to go a little deep and experience it and then realize it. And when you realize it, and you're able to stay in that space for a longer time, then you'll find a transformation where you'll start becoming it in a very natural fashion. And in fact, this is what we're usually doing in meditation. We start from awareness, we go into realization, and then when we are sitting over a period of time in this awareness, and going on, realizing it time and again, then we are actually transforming and becoming that beauty that is already available for all of us inside. Like the acorn that is easily able to become that oak, but it needs a little bit of that nurturing before it becomes a mighty oak. So too, I don't have to want to live somebody else's life. Many of the problems in the world, my dear friends, happens because I'm trying to compare with others. I'm trying to compete with others. I'm trying to criticize others. I'm trying to complain. And one of the C's that I'm not doing is being content. And so when I want to be content, it is really knowing who I am and being able to be that great potential that is available in me. So I am this acorn and I'm made to become a mighty oak, not to become an orange tree or a mango tree. And so, no, I want to be a mighty oak. So each of us, whilst we're content, we're not comparing with each other, but I'm content that I am who I am, yet I want to grow into my entire potential. I want to become the greatness that my creator designed me for. And so that's possible when I go through the ART formula. And so let's do that now for a moment before we take a pause, and then we'll come back and do a little bit more. We'll have some time for Q&As, and then we'll have 10 minutes for question and answers. We'll be very happy to take your question and answers. And then we can also do a short, meditation before we leave at the end of the session. So let's do the awareness. So I'd like you to just sit back, be easy, be still. You can keep your eyes open, you can close them depending on how you feel comfortable. Just like you to listen to the words as I speak them and just follow it. So become aware to start with of your breathing. Become aware of everything around your room, the lighting, the sounds, the people. And as you're becoming aware of everything around you, you let go of all judgment. You simply accept everything and everyone as they are. And then you become aware of yourself, the being who's doing the thinking right now, the being who's listening to the words being spoken, the being who's observing. I am that being who's separate from the body, who's separate and who has the potential and the power to think what you want to think and to feel what you want to feel. And there is unlimited possibility within to become what I want to become. So create this beautiful thought, one nice positive thought for yourself. I am a peaceful being. And don't just say it in terms of being aware of it, but I'd like you to understand the meaning of peace. A very tranquil state, a state of calmness. Like the water that's still without any ripples, I feel very peaceful inside. And I can feel the peace grow within. And I can sense that my thinking has slowed down. I enjoy every bit of the silence. and I come back into this world of sound, knowing that I can go back anytime into that stillness of silence, and I can come back into sound, because that's what life is all about, from sound into stillness, and from stillness into sound. From stillness, you go into action, activity, and from activity, you go back into consciousness of awareness of who I am. And so that's a beautiful game, to play, awareness. So we became aware of who we were, and we realized, depending on how long you were able to focus, when you're aware of yourself as a peaceful being, in a few moments, we did that for a very short time now, but as you keep doing this, you will start realizing that, yes, I am peaceful. Yes, it's me who's peaceful. It's inside me. Wow, Eureka, I feel so peaceful inside. And it was just a single thought I had to create. I am peaceful. That thought with belief makes it happen. Anything that the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Napoleon Hill. So awareness, and then I realize it. And if I do this for a period of time, there's transformation. And then in all my actions, as I go out in the world, whatever I'm doing, I continue doing that. But there's a very different energy that is coming outside into this world. And therefore, that unlimited possibilities that we are seeing is going to be the most beautiful that we can ever imagine. All right, with that, I would like to pause for some questions. If there's any questions, I'd like to leave you with this quote, but let's look at any questions that you might have. Sister Vicky will read them out for me, and then we'll take a few questions.
So thank you so much, brother. What can we say? I would say MIA. What's MIA? You have a lot of these jargons there, okay? So I thought that it would be good to have this MIA. M, motivating. So what experience that we have tonight, everybody would agree. Motivating, inspiring, moves us to, the A is action. So MIA. So definitely, this will be a big help of how we can deal with this time. So there is one question here, Prakash.
Yes, please.
How to make my mind creative and busy at this pandemic time?
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so it's interesting that we want to make your mind both. You want to make it creative, right? We are creative beings. Actually, we are very creative, and sometimes we limit ourselves in that particular space of creativity by sometimes not thinking that we're creative. Sometimes we believe that creativity is something that comes from birth. You're born creative or you're not. Or maybe creativity is for certain people who are in marketing and who are doing certain aspects of their job and they need to have creativity. But each and every one of us are creative. In fact, you look at your clothes when you're wearing, you have so many, permutations and combinations. You're actually being creative in the way you actually get yourself to dress on an every single day basis. The food that you cook, the way you want to eat, the pattern in where you want to eat, where you want to go out. You don't realize, but you are actually creating ideas. You're thinking about what are the ways, options that I have, and you're trying to see what's the best and the most suitable for you. So we are extremely creative. It's just that sometimes we get so busy sometimes in the rut of things that we probably at a stage we just go with everything that is there for granted. We are not really giving ourselves the opportunity to push ourselves more and to say, you know what, I can better it. We can do something greater than this. It's possible for me to do it. And so I think it starts with believing that, yes, I am creative, and then to let yourself see, what can I do to become better? What can I do to improve this? And forcing yourself to say, okay, I'm going to sit here for the next 5 minutes until I get a better idea of how I can probably have a better relationship with X, Y, and Z. So that person is not talking to me. Think, I want to know what's the best way for me to actually have a better relationship. What can I do? And so when you actually have an intention and then you sit for some time with that intention in your mind, try to bring that stillness inside, and you'll be shocked to see what opportunities come up. and lo and behold, you'll have some very great ideas. There is amazing ideas inside. I think it's that stillness that is sometimes missing, that beautiful, create that platform for you to be creative. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So thank you. Another question. Is awareness an art or science?
Okay. I wouldn't have an answer to that, whether it's an art or science, but I would let you know that, I had this workshop which we had a huge number of leaders in, and we actually made a list of things in terms of what do you think should be the number one trait of a leader. And so it was vision, it was resilience, it was about motivating others and seeing how you can communicate, all those things. And there was one thing was self-awareness. And that was right on the top, self-awareness. To start with, I feel it's an art. It's an art to become more aware of yourself. It requires you to be able to still yourself, your mind, to be able to also seek out with certain people who you think have got the wisdom to understand from their perspective. And it's right important for you to have an open mind and listen to a lot of people, but then to sit back and have your own answers of who you truly are. And so I wouldn't say, it's a difficult question to say whether it's art and science, but I would say that it's an important element for us to be able to work on. And so I think if you can spend some time with yourself, and just, it's like, like I'm sitting on this chair and I just shift myself. I feel more comfortable now, But earlier I was sitting all this while, I was not so comfortable, but I wasn't aware of the fact that I was sitting in an uncomfortable position. But when my mind suddenly says, just move a little bit, and when that awareness shifts, suddenly you feel far more comfortable. So I think it's just a matter of paying attention to a few things that I'm doing on a daily basis and becoming aware of yourself and saying, is this really what I want? Is this what I've been designed for? And then you suddenly start questioning yourself, and that kind of helps you to pay attention to your own self, and that makes you more aware of what is it that you want. So I feel that wisdom lies in each of us. It's just a matter of putting those right questions, having an exposure to a lot of beauty that is there outside in terms of wisdom, and then looking for yourself and saying, okay, truly, who am I and what do I really need to do?
Okay, so 5 points. Perfect answer. So next question, Prakash. Yeah. So this is a very appropriate question. How can we hold our emotions when the business is down and have to release stuff?
Okay.
Yeah.
Those emotions are very valid, first of all. Those emotions are valid. So if you have emotions because business is down, we've got to pay rents, we've got to pay salaries, we got to get to feed our people at home. And so you do have this feeling of anxiety in terms of how is it going to actually happen. And so those are valid emotions. And remember one thing, that every emotion comes for a reason and it has a message in it. There's no point in just being flowed by the emotion and saying, okay, this emotion has come, and you just go into that emotion and get stuck there, that fear, that anxiety, and just be there. That's not what you should be doing. When you have that emotion, it's valid. It's trying to tell you to do something. It's a message that makes you say, listen, business is going down. What must I do? And then your mind should straight away go into solution and say, okay, fine. If I'm feeling this way, it means that there is probably a bank balance that has to be looked at. Probably my lifestyle has to be started to adjust. Probably I need to start looking at, I have to take care of cutting down on certain expenses. So your emotions are there to tell you something. Take heed for those emotions and then do something about it. Then the emotion will go. But if you're not going to do anything, and if you're just going to think about things, you're going to still stay in an emotion, and it's not going to be of any use at all to you.
Okay. Another question. If fear, worry, stress is presently experienced, do you think our creative mind can work out?
Well, no, it's very difficult. If you are in an emotion, if you're in an emotion, what happens is something that's the amygdala that actually occupies your functional brain. And so it's very difficult for you to be creative. Forget creativity, but even to make sound judgment, to be able to have a sanity of the mind is very difficult in the state of emotion. And so it's very important. Take the emotion, understand what it's saying to you, learn from it, and move forward so that the emotion gets stabilized, so that you're able to open up your so-called prefrontal cortex to be able to do the work that you need to do.
Okay, so we have quite a number of questions here. How can my mind settle? Is there any practice or video in YouTube that would help?
Okay, there are lots of apps and lots of videos. I don't have anything at this point in time that I can readily refer you to. But I'm sure if you go to the websites of the meditation space or Bahari Meditation Center or the centers that you're there, they would have resources, I'm 100% sure, that'll help you to start meditating. And they got nice guided commentaries for you, which are very nice, that helps you to relax. They'll have some nice music that is going to support you. There are some very nice songs as well. And so these are beautiful resources that will help you to make your mind very calm. But it's important for us to start practicing it ourselves through our own selves is one of the best ways. So not to have any crutches, but to see how I can, with my own thoughts, because it's a thought that makes you unsettled, and it's a thought that will settle you. And so start working on yourself and see how you can gain that mastery of creating beautiful thoughts, creating settling thoughts, creating thoughts which are nice. But there are other practices like journaling. You just journal sometimes. You just keep writing. So that helps sometimes. You can sometimes try and move from that place away and try to do something else for yourself. You can also do some deep breathing sometimes. It just helps you. You can do some sport at that point in time. These are temporary things that help at a particular time for you to just calm down. But really the key is to work with your own mind and to create another thought that will help you to get yourself in a better state.
Certainly, silence is a bliss and unlimited power to transform. How you can visualize to use this concept to make the word fearless?
I'm not able to understand the full context of the question, but I'm able to understand silence is bliss. And then we want to be able to use this visualization to make the world fearless. Beautiful. So one of the things in silence is obviously when there's silence, truly, my meaning of silence is not you don't think anything. When I'm silent, I'm not having any negative thoughts or thoughts of fear, thoughts of stress, thoughts of anxiety. Any unwanted thoughts is not in the mind, because we are built and constructed. As long as we are having life in this body, we are thinking. And so I need to be able to move away from negative thinking, and fear is a negative thought. So in silence, I'm able to free myself from all these thoughts. And so if I want to make the world fearless, where do I begin? With my own self. I need to truly get into that space of being fearless. And when I really have this true awareness of myself, and if I can create the silence inside, which means if I'm able to get into that space, which is able to show that there could be everything happening outside, but internally, I am who I am. I create my feelings of stability, of peace, of power. And I have that feeling inside. And so if I work on myself, which is what I really need to do, and everybody, if they just take that responsibility, I think we have a great world. But I feel my responsibility should be for myself to start with. And if I can do that well, the world will take care of itself.
So thank you. So I think we have two more questions over. How do you compromise or balance between fill your cup first and the art of living is giving? How can you compromise or balance between fill your cup first and the art of living is giving?
Oh, beautiful. Nice question. So what we are doing is, it's not a compromise, it's not a balance. It's a matter of understanding that, giving takes place only when you can only give what you have. You cannot give what you don't have. And so it's important for me to fill my cup and keep it full. And that's just a matter of, again, some practice of silence, meditation, connecting with yourself, connecting with the Supreme. So you're constantly doing that through the day, and not just one point of time in the morning or late in the night and that's it. But I think through the day we pay awareness to see that I am full, I am resourceful. And then when I'm doing that, I'm then able to, wherever uh, I am but giving. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not taking from others. If I'm already full, there's no question of taking. I am giving. Even if I don't know it unconsciously, I am available with this huge amount of spirit and energy and this exuberance inside me, that cheer inside me. Everywhere I go, I am giving. And I don't even have to know I'm giving. I don't have to believe that I'm giving, but I just have to ensure that I'm full and there's an automatic state of giving, because it's when I'm empty that I'm taking from others. It's when I'm empty and I'm seeking, I'm expecting.
All right. So let's move on. This is a question from TR Skype group. The question is, can you please give us an example how we can differentiate the difference between the awareness and realization? Difference between
Sorry, can you
awareness and realization.
Okay,
So they want
awareness.
an example,
Okay.
yeah, to differentiate the two.
So awareness is I'm aware that I am a being of peace. That's an awareness piece. I'm aware that I'm separate from this body. There is a physical and there's a metaphysical. I have this awareness that I'm metaphysical. I'm this being who is peaceful. And so in that awareness, when I sit and I contemplate and I go deep into that idea of who I am, then I have an experience of peace. When I start experiencing it, then I realize there's a feeling as, oh, Eureka, there is no doubt now, there's no theory there. There is a substantial evidence now that I am a being of peace. It's solidified. That's the realization piece. Yeah, it's the realization that will help you to transform. Not just an awareness. A mere awareness is not going to help you to do that. For example, I'm aware that smoking is injurious to health, but I'm still smoking. So I need to be able to have a realization, very strong realization, for me to be able to know that I don't have to do it. And so the realization piece is really what shifts something that's just a piece of knowledge into a wisdom. That's what realization is all about. And once I have a realization that I am peaceful, then it's very easy for me to go back into it. Then it takes me just a thought again. I just become aware, I am peaceful, instantly I have the realization, yeah, I am. Because once you realize something, it's the greatest teacher. Realization is your teacher, is an educator. It is absolute proof and evidence of what you are. That's the realization, evidence and proof. Awareness is starting with this particular idea from, whatever you've been able to learn from outside, that yes, I'm aware that there is a difference. I've been told, and there is a lot of logic in it, and there is an awareness around this particular idea. And realization is you experiencing it.
Wonderful. Next question is, so first there's a comment. Now we know every difficulty offers an opportunity. Today's session, which is certainly MIA, one can find unlimited possibilities to transform or change within, and then the whole world. So he wants this to be elaborated. That is, one can find unlimited possibilities to transform or change within, and then the whole world. So please elaborate.
Well, I did give a few examples about how there is adversity and there are people who can come out regardless of the adversity that's outside. We have the choice of feeling whatever we want to feel inside. And then when I change and when I actually am able to stand in that way, I'm able to do whatever I want. Excuse me. So I feel it's, like we saw from Thomas Edison. He saw adversity outside, but what did he think about? What did Wilma Rudolph do when she actually knew that she had a problem with her leg? There were adverse problems outside, but she did what she could do best for herself. She didn't allow the outside to affect her. So for me also, and for you, for all of us, we have, let's say, a lot of things happening outside of us today, right? And that's true. We cannot hide from the facts, whatever's happening from us. It's a truth. It's absolutely right in terms of what's happening there. In terms of there's nothing false there. But the question to me is, it's like this boat that is in the water, and as long as the boat is in the water, it's fine. It is able to sail. The water becomes choppy. The water becomes tough. The boat is still okay. But the moment the water gets into the boat, then what will happen? It's going to capsize. And so I'm living in this world, and there's a lot of things happening around me, and that's perfectly okay. But if that starts living inside me, then I'm not going to be able to really do anything at all. I'm going to capsize. I'm going to really break. And so I need to see how I can create this bulletproofing, mental bulletproofing from whatever is happening around me. And that's possible. I mean, there's enough of people, and I'm sure you and I, and we've always had a lot of problems in our life. You've had two people who go to the same boss. The boss shouts at them. One person reacts and gets angry at the boss. The other person is saying, okay, that's no problem. Let's take it. He's the boss. He's had some reason. He's probably had a tough day. Let's move forth. So we all have this power to make meaning of what's happening outside and to stay unperturbed inside. So it's just about, again, becoming aware of this particular beautiful potential that you have. And then when you start doing that, and as I said, the world will take care of itself. You just take care of yourself. Each and every human being, if we're just responsible for ourselves, and if we allow ourselves to grow and to become who we want to be, everything else will be falling in place. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess this will be the last question. Because time, although opportunities are unlimited, time is limited at this point. So the question is, how can I control anger and temper? How can I control anger and temper?
Sometimes we have age-old wisdom, and the ancestors have always said, count 10 before saying anything. When you're actually, you're in a state of anger, don't do anything about it. Don't say what you got to say. It's important for us to be able to see if I can have some of these tools initially that help me not to say things, because they say of words spoken, you are the slave. Of unspoken words, you are the master. So in anger, try and see if you can find yourself to do something which is not in that particular direction. That's a tough one, because you've already reached anger where to a large extent you're not in your conscious state then. And so you've got to do a lot of practice before reaching that stage. If you're going to go buying an umbrella when it's raining, it's too late. You should have actually got yourself the umbrella before it rained, and expect that rain can happen. Expect situations to come in your life which will provoke and trigger a lot of anger. And so what is that you're going to do for it? You've got to work at yourself. You've got to start understanding truly what are those triggers inside me that is creating that anger. Learn what the triggers are. And then if you start understanding that the trigger, for me, once upon a time, it used to be when people say, hey, you baldy, they call me baldy, I would get angry. And so for me, I had to shift. I say, okay, what's the trigger? It says people are saying I'm bald. And so I had to give baldness a very interesting meaning. And thereafter I said, bald means beautiful, bald means brave, bald means wise and wisdom. So if I'm bald, it means that I'm actually gain a lot of wisdom. And so I had to shift the meaning of that particular trigger that was actually creating this anger. So see what the triggers are, give it some nice meaning, and see if you can move away from that consciousness. Many times it's the consciousness of the physical that makes me feel, and try to shift into a metaphysical consciousness, a spiritual consciousness that I am this being of peace. And so when you're shifting into that peace, then nobody can now make you angry, because you are a being of peace. And so do that meditation regularly, and then you'll see how you'll make a difference. If you get angry today, in the night, go back and reflect and think about what is it that you got angry about, and how you are not that thing, how you are separate from that thing that got you angry, which is always a fact. You normally get angry of things which really are very petty, has no reason for you to get angry for. So start contemplating, seeing, journaling, and then you'll find a better way.
Wow. So what can we say? All rest, I would want to acknowledge the overwhelming expression of gratitude for what we have taken for your sharing, Brother Prakash. Okay, so would you be giving a culminating meditation tonight?
Yeah, I know it's late, but we can still do that. Maybe just 2 minutes, Vicky.
Yeah, okay, and afterwards, okay, just a few very short announcements. Thank you.
Or do these announcements now, sister.
Okay, yeah. So before there would be series of programs that will come. what you call our um, uh, our meditation introduction to meditation is ongoing in English, and in Arabic it will come. And I would want also to acknowledge each and everyone's presence at this time. There is the English group Zoom. There is also the Arabic audience, which is more or less about more than 70 participants in there. So can you imagine all together, all of us in this soul connection? So, and of course, with much appreciation with Brother Prakash, was being really an instrument to make this journey a pleasurable one, a really learning one with unlimited possibilities on his side. We want to express our gratitude, Brother Prakash. So for each and everyone, ELJ, enjoy this life journey. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. So we can join in this beautiful silence with Brother Prakash.
All right, so just let's sit back wherever we are comfortably and simply become aware of this unlimited possibility that I am. To choose my thoughts, to choose my feelings, and to experience the brilliance, the beauty, and the treasures that lie within me. Treasure of peace, of love, of happiness, and bliss. And so just allow yourself a few moments in silence to experience that beauty within. And good night, everybody, and good day.